Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive.
Hmm.
Today, we're going into a fascinating and complex world, the world of finance.
Yes.
Now, when we say
Yeah.
finance, most people think of,
Yeah.
budgeting, balancing their checkbook,
Yeah.
maybe picking some stocks.
Yeah.
But we're going way deeper than that. We're going to explore finance as the
Right.
operating system of the global economy.
Yeah, like the nervous system,
Yeah,
the circulatory system.
the circulatory
It's
system.
how everything is connected.
It is. And you know what's really interesting about it is that it wasn't really designed,
Right.
this system. It evolved over centuries, which means it's full of like quirks, these unexpected
connections
that we're going to untangle today.
It's going to be fun.
So let's start with something that we can all relate to, personal finance.
Yes.
This is where finance gets really personal.
Personal.
It's about your money, your goals, and really your life.
Your life.
So what do you think are the most important things for people to consider?
Well, when it comes to personal finance.
Yeah, when we say personal finance, what are we really talking about?
So personal finance is about, taking control of your finances.
Okay.
Understanding how money works.
Yeah,
For you,
right.
as an individual, it's about budgeting.
Budgeting.
It's about saving.
Yeah.
It's about investing.
Investing.
But it's also about understanding things like insurance,
Okay.
taxes, and ultimately it's about aligning your money with your life goals.
Right.
If you want to buy a home, if you want to retire comfortably, if you want to travel the world.
You want to send your kids to college.
Exactly. You need to have a plan for your money. Right. And that's what personal finance is all about.
So it's not just about the numbers.
No?
It's about how those numbers
Yeah.
connect with your values and your goals. And a lot of people maybe get intimidated by the term financial planning or personal finance.
Right.
But it's really just about making those connections.
Yeah.
Making sure that your money is working for you in a way that aligns with what you want your life to look like.
Absolutely. And it's about, feeling in control of your financial future.
Like you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, financial well-being.
Yes.
Right. Being able to,
Yep.
sleep at night,
Yeah.
knowing that you're on track
Absolutely.
to achieve your goals.
And feeling good about your relationship with money.
That's a key part of it.
Yeah.
It's not just about the numbers. It's about how you feel.
Okay. So we've talked about personal finance. Let's zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and talk about how companies use finance.
So that's where we get into corporate finance.
Corporate finance.
Right.
So what is that all about?
So corporate finance is all about how companies make financial decisions
Okay.
to maximize shareholder value.
Maximize shareholder value.
That's the goal
Yeah.
of corporate finance.
Okay. So that sounds a little bit complicated,
It can.
but break it down for us.
So it's really about making smart decisions about investments.
Managing cash flow effectively and ultimately growing the business in a way that benefits
The owners of the company.
shareholders.
Shareholders, exactly.
Okay, so it's like, hang on. A giant game of resource allocation with real stakes.
With very real stakes.
Right.
Much higher than Monopoly.
Much higher than Monopoly.
Yeah.
And hopefully fewer arguments.
Hopefully fewer arguments.
Yeah, but there's a lot of expertise that goes into making these decisions.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to understand markets. You have to
You have
understand
to understand industries.
industries.
You have to understand accounting.
Yeah. All of that fun stuff.
All fun stuff.
But some people, they'd rather just hand the reins over to someone else, someone who they consider
Right.
an expert.
Right.
And that's where we get into
That's where we get into
investment management.
investment management.
Right. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so investment management, this is where professionals come in and manage investments. For individuals.
For companies or even for large funds.
Okay, so these are like the people who are
See,
deciding
the ones making the decisions about where to put the money.
where to put the money, what to invest in.
Assets to buy, what assets to sell.
Right.
They're analyzing markets. They're picking stocks and bonds. And their goal is to make their clients' money grow.
Okay, so it's like having a financial coach
Yeah, like a financial coach.
in your corner.
Yeah.
Who's helping you navigate this complex world?
That very complex world of investing.
But even with the experts,
Yes.
things can go wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Right.
think
The
about
dot-com bubble.
the dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of seasoned investors got burned during that period.
They did. So how do you even begin to make sense of risk?
That's a great question.
One known unknown,
The unknown unknowns, right?
as they say, can really throw a wrench in the works.
Yeah, risk is an inherent part of investing and finance in general. You can't avoid it.
Okay, so how do you manage it?
So you manage it by first understanding the different types of risk.
Okay.
There's market risk, which is the risk that the market as a whole will decline.
Right.
There's credit risk, which is the risk that a borrower will default on their debt.
Okay.
There's liquidity risk, which is the risk that you won't be able to sell an asset when you need to.
Right.
And then there are all these other kinds of risks, like geopolitical risk
Right.
and regulatory risk.
Regulatory risk.
So you have to understand the different types of risks, and then you have to develop strategies
Okay.
to mitigate them.
So what are some of those strategies?
Well, diversification is a big one.
Okay, diversification. That's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Spread your investments across different asset classes, different industries, different geographies. That way, if one investment goes bad, it doesn't wipe out your entire portfolio.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another strategy is hedging.
Hedge.
Yeah. This is where you use financial instruments to offset the risk of another investment.
So it's kind of like taking out insurance.
It's like taking out insurance on your investments.
Okay.
So if one investment goes down, the hedge will hopefully go up and offset some of those losses.
Okay, so you're kind of like,
You're trying to protect yourself from the downside.
protect yourself from the downside. Okay, and all of this is happening in these financial markets.
Yes.
Right, that we hear so much about.
We do.
So what are financial markets really?
So financial markets are essentially marketplaces where financial assets are bought and sold.
Okay.
So you've got stock markets where stocks are traded,
Right.
bond markets where bonds are traded, foreign exchange markets where currencies are traded, and all sorts of other markets
Okay.
for things like commodities.
Okay, so it's like this giant global bazaar
It is a global bazaar.
where everything is being bought and sold.
Everything financial is being bought and sold.
And the prices are constantly
Yeah, and the prices are constantly
fluctuating
based on supply and demand.
supply and demand.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if a lot of people want to buy something, the price goes up.
The price goes up.
If a lot of people want to sell something, the price goes down.
The price goes down.
Okay, and all these markets are interconnected.
They're very interconnected.
Right.
What happens in one market can affect what happens in other markets.
Right. So we really can't think about them in isolation.
No, you can't.
They're all part of this
What?
big global system.
It's a big, complex system.
Okay, so we've got the markets, we've got the investors, but then we have these institutions,
Right.
right? The financial institution.
Well, financial institutions.
And it's kind of hold it all together.
Yeah, like the plumbing of the system.
the plumbing. So tell us a little bit about financial institutions.
So financial institutions are companies that provide financial services to individuals, businesses, and governments.
Okay, so who are we talking about here?
So we're talking about banks,
Banks,
insurance companies,
insurance company,
investment firms, pension funds,
enter funds.
and a whole host of other companies.
Okay, and what kind of services do they provide?
So banks provide services like taking deposits, making loans,
Right.
and facilitating payments.
Okay.
Insurance companies provide insurance to protect against risks.
Right.
Investment firms manage investments for clients.
Right. And pension funds manage retirement savings.
Retirement savings, exactly.
Okay, so they're all kind of playing a different role,
They are.
but they're all essential to the functioning of this system.
Absolutely.
But as we've seen, sometimes things can go wrong.
Yeah. Think about the 2008 financial crisis.
Right.
That was a major failure of the financial system.
And it had huge consequences
Consequences.
for the global economy.
Absolutely.
So that's where we get into financial regulation,
Financial regulation.
right? Because we need some rules.
We do.
We need some oversight
Uh-huh.
to try to prevent these kinds of meltdowns.
Let's try to prevent them from happening again.
So what is financial regulation all about?
So financial regulation is essentially about setting rules and regulations for financial institutions and markets to protect investors, to maintain stability, and to prevent financial crises.
Okay, so it's kind of like
A referee.
It's like the referee
Right.
in a game,
Right. Making sure that everyone's playing by the rules.
making sure everyone's playing fair
Right.
and that nobody's cheating.
Right. And it's a really important part of this whole system.
It is.
Because if we don't have trust
Right.
in the system, people aren't going to participate.
Exactly. If people don't trust the system, they're not going to invest, they're not going to save, they're not going to borrow.
And then the whole system kind of grinds to a halt.
It can grind to a halt.
Right. So we need that trust. We need those rules in place.
We do.
To make sure that everything is functioning smoothly.
As smoothly as possible.
And speaking of globally, we can't forget about international finance.
International finance.
Right. Because finance doesn't stop at borders.
It is not.
Right. It's a global system. It's a global system.
So what are some of the key things to think about when we talk about international finance?
Well, one of the big things is currency exchange rates.
Okay. Currency exchange rates.
Right. Because different countries have different currencies.
They do. And so when you're doing business across borders, you need to be able to...
You need to be able to convert one currency into another.
Right. And those exchange rates...
can fluctuate.
They fluctuate all the time.
And that can have a big impact.
It can. On businesses.
On businesses.
On investors. On travelers.
On anyone who's sending large money. Across borders.
Across borders, exactly.
Another big thing in international finance is foreign direct investment.
Foreign direct investment,
So this is when companies from one country invest in another country.
Exactly.
And that can be a big driver of economic growth.
It can, for developing countries.
Okay, and then of course we have like organizations like
the World Bank.
The World Bank, the IMF.
IMF.
International Monetary Fund. That play a role in international finance.
Right, and they're trying to kind of like...
They're trying to promote...
Stability. And development. In the global financial system.
The global financial system.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have, from personal finance. To corporate finance.
To financial markets. To institutions.
To international finance. And everything in between. But let's bring it back to a personal level for a moment, because we've talked about investments, managing risk, all this complex stuff.
Yeah.
But what about just financial planning for individuals? What does that look like?
So financial planning for individuals is about creating a roadmap for your financial future.
Okay.
It's about setting goals and developing strategies to achieve them.
Okay, so what kind of goals are we talking about?
Well, it could be anything. You know, short-term goals, like saving for a down payment on a house.
Okay.
Or long-term goals, like retiring comfortably.
Or it could be more kind of lifestyle goals, like funding a creative project or traveling the world.
We're starting a business.
Exactly. So financial planning helps you figure out how much money you need, how to save it, and how to invest it so you can achieve those goals.
And it can really help people feel more empowered.
Absolutely. About their financial lives.
Right, because you're not just letting things happen to you. You're
taking control.
And
making a plan. Okay, so we've covered so much in this deep dive.
So a lot of ground.
From personal finances to the global economy. And I think the key takeaway is that finance really touches every aspect of our lives.
It really does.
Whether we realize it or not.
What
do you think is the most important thing for people to remember?
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay informed.
Okay.
Be critical of the information you encounter.
Right.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
The financial world is complex, but understanding it empowers you to make better decisions, to achieve your goals, and to navigate the inevitable ups and downs with more confidence.
So true. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to ask you all, what sparked your curiosity the most? What area of finance are you most eager to explore further? Remember, the world of finance is constantly evolving. So keep learning, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep diving deeper. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.